Hey everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Hip Kit Club. I'm using the September 2020 kits and I am playing along with this week's challenge, which is a mood board challenge, and I've been inspired by the bottom right image, which is the pumpkins. Just before we get started though, I have to do a big shout out to Tommy. Tommy is 5. And apparently I am his favourite scrappy lady. So that makes my heart so happy. So if you're listening today, Tommy, then thank you for watching my videos. I'm so pleased you like them. And I hope you have a great scrappy day. Okay, so this layout is inspired by the bottom right image on the mood board, which has pleated or fabric pumpkins on it. I don't have any pumpkin photos yet for this year, so I was planning to go to a pumpkin patch at the weekend, but it just rained the entire time, so we couldn't go. So instead of actually putting pumpkins on my layout, I'm going to be inspired by that picture on the mood board, and particularly the pleats. So they reminded me of the paper rosettes that we scrapbookers make sometimes, or card makers make. I have a Tim Holtz die that makes these fabulous little rosettes, and it is possible to make your own as well, of course, by scoring every 1/4 of an inch along a strip of paper, and that's what I'm doing today, but I'm doing it on a giant scale. So I'm not using a die, I'm manually making this giant rosette, paper rosette, and I have cut 4 pieces of this Maggie Holmes Marigold paper, the plaid, lovely goldy mustardy colour, and I have cut 4 strips. Now I had 2 sheets of this paper, so 4 strips that are 5 inches wide each, and my thoughts were that that would make my rosette 10 inches wide, but of course it's actually slightly bigger because you end up with a hole in the middle. So it's a little bit bigger than 10 inches, but all good. It still works. So if you were going to do 6-inch strips, that would be too big for a 12 by 12 layout. That was my point. Okay, so 4 strips, 5 inches wide each. I've scored at 1/4 of an inch all the way along, and I've also used a scalloped edge punch to give one edge a nice scallop effect. So I've just done all the pleating, you can see there, and it takes quite a while to actually do the concertina-ing, just because it gets a bit bulky, so therefore it's hard to constantly keep it flat on the table, but some of it I ended up having to do up in the air, and just folding with my hands, whereas some of it I could do flat on the table and squash the folds against the table. But anyway, it wasn't too bad. It was fairly straightforward. It was just a bit trickier than you might think. More time consuming than tricky, to be fair. Okay, so here I am with my 4 pleated strips all done, and now I am sticking them together using my glue gun. Now when I made this, when I was putting this together, I've never made a giant one of these before, so it was a little bit unknown, and I just wasn't quite sure how many strips I would need. I was hoping I would get away with 3, but when I tried to put it together, it was when I'll try in a moment to see if I can get it into a circle, but actually it's a bit too stretched, so I decided to go for the 4th one. By the way, I keep where I've scored in some places a bit too hard, and I've cut through the paper, or I've gone through it to the point where it's then torn. So every time I do that, or every time I notice a place that has torn slightly, I just reinforce it on the back with some regular sellotape to keep it a bit stronger. So you can't see it on the front, but on the back there's a few patch jobs. Okay, so here is my extremely long paper strip, and now I've got to stick it together to make the rosette. So again, employing my hot glue gun here, because seriously nothing else I don't think will hold this in place. And now I have this big circular piece, and I'm thinking at this point, oh my goodness, it's too big, it's too wide, I can't turn it into a circle. And then somehow it just magically does this, and it looks so awesome, doesn't it? I'm so happy. So I just needed something to go over the middle, so I've just got the biggest circle punch I own, and I'm going to cut a couple of circles of that marigold paper that I've got left over. I plan to cover the middle anyway, but I just need something to stick over this section, so I'm just gathering it all in as tight as I can and quickly putting that circle in place, and then I'll turn over, and then I do exactly the same thing on the other side as well with another piece of that marigold paper. Of course, because the disc is already on the back now, it's much firmer and easier to apply it to the front, so that's why I would normally start with the back. And there you can see my fabulous, massive, giant rosette, and I'm going to put it onto that piece of Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor paper. It's a pink background. It's got a diagonal design on. That has also come from the Moodboard, by the way. On the Moodboard there is a picture with lots of frames, and there is a trolley in that picture that has kind of diagonal legs, and I therefore wanted to go for this paper for that reason. And now I'm going to stick this giant paper rosette onto my background. Again, I've used my hot glue gun because I'm pretty sure that that's the only thing that will hold it in place. Quick repair there, you can see one of my pleats has come apart slightly. So just putting some tape on the back and snipping the excess tape out of the way. And then I can start my layout. So, oh, I also should have said at the beginning that one of our prompts today from a design team perspective was to use a cut file. Now I went back through the archives of our cut files. Have you looked recently? There's a massive amount. You know, if you can, you know, there's obviously the most recent ones, but you can go back for like over a year, and there's fabulous cut files every month. So if you're new to HipKit, then make sure you trawl through the archives of the cut files, because there are so many awesome ones in there. So I went all the way back to September last year, September 2019, and pulled out a School Rocks cut file. It has a trainer or a sneaker on it as well, but I didn't use that image. I wanted to use just the School Rocks. So these photos are about my little boy. He's 2. He's just turned 2 in August, and here are his first photos at preschool. So this is not going to be School Rocks, it's going to say Preschool Rocks, yeah, he's that's what these photos are. He looks an absolute mess. I've just picked him up from preschool in these photos. He's got sand all over his face and on his hands, his hair's all over the place, but it obviously had a great day. So that is definitely something I wanted to document. And yeah, the colours in this collection go really well with these photos. It's not quite autumn here yet, I would say. I think it probably officially is, but at the moment we have sunny days and wet days and not a lot of autumn days. This one was a sunny day, but you know, it has that feel about it. The seasons are changing, so I'm happy for it to have an autumn feel, this layout. So I really love the colours, the purpley colour that comes through in this kit. So I'm just mounting my 2 photos onto journaling cards. I think they're both from the Pocket Life kit. And now just going to get my photos straight away stuck onto my layout. I've cut School Rocks from a piece of green cardstock. It's like a sage green that was in the September cardstock kit. And I've cut that on my silhouette, obviously, and I've cut the letters, the internal pieces for the letters, from the same mustard colour as I've used in the background, but it's not the same paper. It's the one that's kind of a goldy colour all over, and it's got some white spots on. So I've cut the internal letters from there, and I've added an outline to them with a black pen, and I'm going to stick them inside the outline, raised up on foam pads. Now the only issue with this is that I don't have a flat surface to stick them on, because my surface it's going onto is the pleated shape. So I had to put quite a lot of foam pads on to make sure that I get my my letters then have something to stick to. Yes, so I'm just doing that. My cut file, by the way, I've just stuck down with a small amount of wet glue in a few places, and I'm sorry, just wrestling with my 2-year-old there, you can see. Sorry, it's just about to like get on the table. Yeah, so sorry about that. He knocked the camera as well, and clearly I then had to go and remove him from the room, and that's why the video broke there. Right, okay, so I've skipped a little bit further forward. I outlined those letters with the black pen. I've stuck them inside. I stuck my cut file down with some wet glue in a few places, and then I stuck all of my internal letters inside those letters with foam pads. And I just had to be careful when I stuck them on that I had something, this foam pad didn't fall into a gap. It had to stick to a peak on the pleats. Okay, so behind my photo I've got a wooden frame that I've cut in half. There are frames on the mood board, so I definitely wanted to get some frames in here. Over on the left I've got a little label that then says pre, and I've added the word pre with the silver thickers that were in our kit. So I've added those there, so it reads Preschool Rocks. Over on the right hand side I've added some fussy cut houses from the Maggie Holmes Marigold collection, because there are houses on the mood board and they remind me of school buildings. And I've added a couple of books as well. They're chipboard from the Maggie Holmes Marigold chipboard sheet. Again, he's at school, so therefore books are involved, although not that he can't even really talk yet, so let alone read, but but he has lots of stories read to him, so that's fine, that all works. At the top I've added a couple of tags from the cut apart Maggie Holmes Marigold sheet, and another golden frame or mustard coloured frame from the Days of Splendor sheet with all the frames on it. Okay, and then now I'm not that far off being done, to be fair. I've done quite a lot of what's got to go on there, and now I'm just going to play around with some circles. So the pumpkins and the pleats, obviously that was where I got the inspiration for the giant rosette from, but I thought I would follow through with the circle theme and bring in a whole bunch more circles, but this didn't work. So you can see me here adding a whole load of circles, and in a moment I'll take them all off again. I didn't like them at all. I think they detracted from the impact of the circle, because those circles are off the circle. Does that make sense? They detracted from the design, so therefore I just removed them all, and tucked a few in and around. So I've got some really lovely chipboard flare buttons from the Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor, and there's some circular stickers as well from, again, the same collection, flat sticker sheet. I loved the apple so much because obviously this is a school layout, so therefore apples are a thing for that. So I've put the apple sticker inside one of the O's on school, and then the others I've just tucked in. So I've tucked in a leaf on the right, a acorn on the left, and some flowers as well. So just tucking bits and pieces in here and there. Also adding some gold thread behind my clusters of embellishments, just to give me a little bit more interest, really. Even though this layout's pretty busy, I still wanted my gold twiddles, right? So yeah, okay, so I'm getting those in place now, just making sure that everything is completely stuck down. So I've got some the houses that had just been tucked in and weren't fully stuck, so just adding in some extra bits of foam pads here and there to make sure that everything doesn't move at a later date. So so okay, so yeah, that is my gold twiddles pretty much done and in place. So now I'm just going through looking at other bits and pieces I can add. So I'm adding a flag to the top of the two photos. The left one says having fun, the right one says sweet. Down the bottom of the layout I've added two labels that say loving life and captured. I'm just distressing the edges of the layout because I like that look. And then finally I want to add some white paint splatters, but lucky me, I remembered to do my journaling first. So well done me, that's very impressive for me. Quite often I do my splatters and then I'm like, damn it, now I can't do my journaling until they're dry. Yeah, I'm kind of creative journaling here. I'm going all the way around the edge of my layout. I was thinking about writing in the lines over on the right hand side of the layout, which on the Pink Fresh Studio paper, they would have been an ideal place to write journaling. However, I didn't want to detract from the circular design, so therefore if I'd written my journaling outside of my circle and in a different way, like in a straight line for example, that would have definitely taken away from the roundness of this layout. So I would decided to go all the way around the edge. Okay, white paint time. Okay, so I'm splattering some white paint. I want it around on the rosette particularly. Background's fine as well, I don't mind, but really I wanted it on the mustard because that's where it will show, and I didn't want it on my photo, so I just covered them up there. I got it all over my background sheet too. Okay, that is me done. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed this layout and will be inspired to make one of these giant rosettes. They really are giant. So don't forget that if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, that you get the main kit at a reduced price. You get 15% discount off of all add-on kits, and you get access to exclusive subscriber cut files like the one I used today. So lots of reasons to subscribe. Head on over to the Hip Kit Club website and don't forget to play along with this week's challenge. Thank you so much for watching. That was Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.